All right. We've got the mastermind back in action. The cheeky boy, the gambler, the trickster. It's Rogue in the top right side of the map. Famous for being a player who not only could do the crazy all-ins, but also play the super solid macro games. Recently, I would say he falls more on the side of the trickster, right? Because it doesn't feel like he's updated his macro, but he's still got fantastic, clever tricks. King of Lurkinitis, King of Mass Overseer, and just a master of mixing in weird plays. But he's playing against herO, the best PvZ player in the world, hands down. Just look at the stats. I mean, even if you look at him versus herO, not a great record, but versus Raynor, very good record. Always seems to have Raynor's number for whatever reason. Whilst MaxPax really struggles against him and did really well versus herO, almost taking him down at the World Championship as well. He's done a gas first, no scout build, so he's counting on Rogue not 12 pulling. Don't want to do that too many times in a row against Rogue, because you never know when Rogue's going to like 12 pull, drone drill, do something crazy. Now, herO, as always, pulls a worker off minerals onto gas, even when he plays gas first. I criticize it a bit because I don't think it's necessary. On the other hand, it does give him an abundance of gas to chrono adepts, oracles, make warp gate, make a stalker if he wants as one of his first units to deny the overlord. It does give him a lot of very nice options. 135, the cybercore goes down. Doesn't even bother scouting even after cybercore. He says, look, if you're 12 pulling, your lings are about to arrive anyway. Having a few seconds warning is not going to help me out. Now, what's he doing? Second pylon back here. Are we going? Tricky boy. Tricky boy. Okay, so herO wants to hide a Stargate back here, I would imagine. It could be a Twilight or a Robo, but he wants to hide something. Make it hard for Rogue to see exactly what's going on this map, guys. Where can that Overlord sit? You can't sit here. You can hide on this, but that doesn't give you a lot of vision. You can go out into the dead space and scout this single gas for free. So this is a map that doesn't give too much free Overlord scouting. Stargate goes down in the back. Probe's looking... What are you doing back there, bro? I guess he's just waiting to return minerals. Chrono boosting probes as well, so an economic Stargate build, Adept and Warpgate start, but he does not chrono the Adept. On the other side, Rogue takes a third hatchery before Ling Speed, interesting. A lot of players rush Ling Speed, but I think he basically says, look, if you don't chrono your gateway, why would I need Ling Speed that early? It's more important for me to build drones, get my third hatchery, get my injects, get my creep spread, and now I can start Ling Speed after prioritizing economy. And he even gets the Overlord and the third Queen before Ling Speed, knowing that hero is going to be defensive. Then this is the sort of adjustment. So many Zergs just don't do this. They see no chrono on the gateway, and they're like, well, I know you're not going to be aggressive. I'm still going to rush Ling Speed. Rogue delays his Ling Speed 30 seconds, gets a bunch more of an economy head start. Overlord's perfectly timed, whereas Dark could be supply blocked for the next 43 seconds. This is a great opening. And already we're seeing that as much as I call him, more of a trickster than a macro player, he's way more refined in his openings than, say, Dark. Like, Dark will be way more supply blocked than he is. Rogue having that attention to detail that's carried him so far in his career. 4 gases immediately. My man wants to go second Stargate Fleet Beacon. There's no ifs or buts about it, guys. Void Ray to deny scouting, 2 Stargate Tempest. And the thing is, when you see a Void Ray opening here as Rogue, which he's about to find out about, you have to think to yourself, okay, you're trying to hide something. And sometimes they just go Oracle, third base, play a macro game. But if you don't see a third base by, let's say, 4.5 minutes, you can assume it's either a charge lot, an Adept, or a 2 Stargate Tempest or Carrier follow-up. And the problem is, against the Adepts and the Zealots, you really want to play Roaches off about 50 drones. Whereas if your opponent's going for the Fleet Beacon, you want to rush Lair and rush for Spire, which are 2 very opposite things. So for a lot of Zergs in this scenario, they sometimes end up gambling. And I've already said Rogue's a bit of a gambler. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just see him flip a coin. He's like, I don't know what you're doing. I'm just going to flip a coin, which, not something a guy like Serral would ever do, but Rogue very well may. Now, Rogue's building multiple spores, which is entirely unnecessary against a Void Ray opening, especially if you're playing 6 queens, 7 queens. 7 queens and 3 spores, this is a bad response. I really loved his opening up to this point, but building a spore in each base against a Void Ray makes no sense. Yes, there was an Oracle that came out afterwards, but this is one of these things where it's like, you already have 7 queens. They can defend from an Oracle and a Void Ray easily. You don't need a single spore here. So those 3 spores, I loved his opening earlier, but now very inefficient. 4 Overlords as well, so quite supply blocked on 66. He goes Roachhorn, Evo, and Lair. This is really curtailing his economy. To me, the Evo Chamber's way too early. The Lair, I think he needs it This is like the latest you can go your lair if it does turn out to be the Tempest build. And he sees the Nexus. He sees the Nexus coming down at 5 minutes. That tells him, okay, you're definitely committing pretty hard to something. I have to build defenses. He's building a lot of roaches right now, or a lot of drones, sorry. Which would be very risky, guys. Going to 60 workers would be crazy risky if it turned out that this was a Zealot or an Adept timing, because they would be heading across the map very soon. But just that little bit of Ling scouting seems to have made him feel confident. I think he's like, yeah, I would have seen Adepts moving out. I would have seen Zealots moving out. He's still sending Lings forward. Void Ray keeps denying scouting, though. He's making Roaches, which is the wrong unit. He's making Roaches because he doesn't know that it's Tempest yet. We've got Tectonic Destabilizers on the way. First Tempest is out. 2 more are building. And they're going to move across the map with 3 Tempests, almost certainly. Lair is done, though, so it's a decently timed Lair. He's caught back up on drones, or not caught up, but I said taken the lead with the drones has Rogue. And I think Rogue could do really well, because historically, hero's not had the best Tempest micro, and this map is quite a long rush distance across ley lines. He's going to be attacking kind of through the open. It's going to be hard to get too much done here. herO does have his 3rd base up. He's trying to take the purple gas, but you need to mine these minerals open before that purple gas opens up. Infestation Pit goes down for Rogue. He doesn't know about the Tempest yet. He still hasn't built a Spire. Uh-oh. And he finds out now. He finds out now. Oh, my lord. Where's that Spire, son? Where's that Spire? Queen's running to the front. Cancels the Infestation Pit. Makes the Spire. Okay, these Queens and Spore Crawlers have a lot of work to do. He's got to buy himself time. Tectonic Destabilizers has been made. That's right. Plus 40 damage versus building. So they're going to do 80 damage a shot, which means 4 shots to kill a Spore Crawler. Those spores will disappear. It's still going to take 5 shots to kill a Queen, which means right now Transfuse is quite effective because you can't one-shot the Queen, right? Very well done with the defense here for Rogue. Lings and Roaches trying to sneak around the edge of the map, but with a Void Ray at home, some shield batteries, should be able to defend, but if you could bust through the natural wall, that could help. 2 Void Rays are out, though. More Void Rays building, going to be very good against that counterattack. You don't want to throw these units away, but desperately trying to distract the Protoss player is Rogue, but Void Rays nearby will shut it down. Got to pull these Roaches out. You don't want to throw these away. Rogue overcommitting right now. Oh, these Roaches are going to get hammered, man. Yep. Tempest still picking off Queens in the north. Void Rays shutting it down. Gets a few units and gets shut down. Tempest running away, though. herO, maybe a bit of lack of multitasking there. I feel like he hasn't killed much. He's killed 4 Queens, 2 Spore Crawlers. Normally you're meant to kill a hatchery with this build. Oh no, herO with that Tempest micro that he's famously bad at. He's going to start losing Tempest. Meanwhile, Ling's got in on the other side. The Ling Roach actually reinforced and killed 5 probes. Rogue distracts him, gets one of the Tempests, but he does lose a lot more Queens for it. Problem for herO is those Corruptors are on the way. He's got 15 seconds to kill the hatchery. He's not going to be able to do it in time. He's lost the 5 Tempests, which means he can't one-shot Queens anymore. herO, like I said, is famous for losing Tempests. Every time he does this build, he loses Tempests. He's just not the best at executing the Tempest pressure, even though he's the best at hiding it. Tempest doing a pretty decent job, but they're not going to get the hatchery. He's going to maybe get 1 or 2 more Queens. Gets 1 more. He's got to get out. He has to get out. He's going to lose like 3 to the Corruptors otherwise. Notice that Rogue's hiding the Corruptors, waiting for the number, and he's going to go, surprise, mother trucker. And much like Dexter caught coming out of his shipping container, herO's just like, oh man, this is not good. At this point, the gloves are off. It's time to duct tape your opponent and just do something. I don't know if this is going to work as duct tape, though. A few Void Rays and Stalkers on the edge of creep. You got to be careful, mate. It's going to go Blink and +1. +1 armor is on the way. Going up to 7 or 8 gateways right now. He does have a 3rd base up. He's finally able to take that rich gas with no 4th Nexus against the 77 drone Zerg, though. Rogue should have the better position massively. Enough Corruptors to dominate the skies. He could go pee on buildings if he wants. The only problem is no Roach speed, and it's a purely Roach army, so the Roaches aren't the best unit right now, especially against Blinkstalker micro from one of the best Protoss micro players in the world. Who's Dexter? Dexter is Florencio's dog. And that's totally what I was referencing, right? Definitely wasn't, but serial killer's gonna serial kill, you know? Roaches and Queens hanging out, Corruptors over there as well. It is actually the name of Florencio's dog, for those who don't know. What is this? herO, are you drunk, mate? Is he building a shield battery in the middle of the map? Dude, if you just make a bunch of Ravagers here, and he's got Hydras on the way, Lurker and Hive, just don't be too greedy. Rogue's got so much more supply. There's no way this works. It's just a very delayed 3-base Blink all-in. He's trying to build a gateway and a shield battery in the middle of the map. I mean, herO's got good micro. I don't think he can overcome a 50 supply difference, though. Ooh, Stalker's trying to blink back right now. Is the building damage upgrade only for Tempests? Yeah. It's plus 40 damage to Tempests versus buildings. That's all it does. It's a very specific upgrade. They initially added it to the game because there was a lot of people camping in late game, and it was impossible to get through the spore crawler forests that Zergs would build, so they wanted to speed that up. Oh no, herO! He didn't finish the hatchery! herO goes deep, and then he goes home. It's go deep, go hard, or go home. He got the saying wrong. He went hard, but not hard enough, and he went home. He didn't get the hatchery. Oh no, the hatchery's got transfused now. He's got a big Stalker army. herO needs that God tier micro right now more than ever. But the Void Rays are all gone. The Corruptors can fly past and go pee on the buildings now, while the Ling Hydra should do a pretty decent job of cleaning up. Stasis Trap down there gets set off, only gets a few of these. Hydra's coming a bit far forward. Got to be careful going off Creep Rogue. But he's so far out on supply, it doesn't matter. Rogue unzips his fly, and he starts unloading a big bladder of disrespect onto them. As I said, you got to be careful going too far forward. That was a really silly chase for Rogue there. You do not need to chase this army down. He just gives away so many kills here. Sloppy for Rogue. Rogue sometimes gets very cocky, guys, and we saw it just there. That's been Rogue's big weakness. Whenever he plays Maru, he'll get miles ahead, and then he'll just drop the ball, let down his guard, and he'll let Maru back into games where Rogue should have no way to lose. He should be up 40 supply now. He just threw away like 20 Hydras. This is a huge mistake from Rogue. It's letting herO back into the game, potentially. I mean, herO should have no chance to get back in. The Corruptors need to PP. He needs to PP. I know this is not the most strategic. It's just, that is what he needs to do right now. It would put him in the grave. herO is warping in desperation sentries. The Corruptors unzip their fly, and they are going to take down the Natural Nexus as well. Very nicely done there. Meanwhile, Stalkers dive. They still want that hatchery. The Transfusers save it. Force fields on the ramp could be good. Rogue wisely does not chase. Rogue's 4th base goes down, but he has a 5th base, so it doesn't matter. He's still on 4 base now against a 1 base mining Protoss. herO making this look way closer than it has any right to be. Rogue getting cocky, herO having good micro. Always a fun combination. But looks like at the end of the day, Rogue just has the numbers, man. He's up 30 army supply. Even with roaches, I mean, the force fields are cute. He's going to try and rotate south. I like the positioning for herO, but he doesn't quite have the numbers. He can't afford to lose any of these units. The +1 roaches are enough to hold on. Yeah, the Corruptors were about to go unzip their flies on that main base. Just to rewind a few seconds to show you guys, those Corruptors were heading in towards the production, the main base. It was going to be absolutely lights out. herO had half a base mining in the main, and Rogue holds on in game 1. All right. Going into game 2, herO on the bottom right side of the map. And man, those Lings actually getting in and distracting him, getting that extra Tempest kill, but also just anytime you distract herO while his Tempests are at your base, it feels like he's just not as quick at getting those shots down as he otherwise could be. And Rogue was not expecting to get blocked. He sends this drone down very late, which means he has to go 17 hatchery on the 3rd base. Now, keep in mind, the Spore Crawler change. They have 100 less hit points, which is why they get 4 shot rather than 5 shot now. Or I guess it used to be 6 shots because of regen from the Tempest, unless the Tempest all shot it at once. But people were saying, well, do you think Oracle Harass is dead, though? Because the Spore does 20 damage a shot versus Oracles now. I don't think so. I think a lot more Stasis Trap pressure is what I do. A lot more queuing up Stasis Traps. And if the Spore Crawler is like here in the middle of the mineral line, let me just break that camera, sorry. If it's there, I'll just fly in and hold position here with my Oracle. Kill the drones on gas and then fly away. So there's a lot more just going for exposed drones rather than diving into Spore Crawler range. The Spore Crawler area is more of a no-go zone. So it's more stasis traps, because that keeps you out of range of the Spore. You can do it from further away or going for the exposed drones. So it changes the way Oracle Harass works, but I think Oracles are so fantastic because you get so much energy on them. They're so much better at defending like Ling Floods and aggression because you don't have to worry about running out of Oracle energy nearly as much. So I think the Oracle openings are still fantastic. I was pushing for the change to not be quite so drastic on the Spore Crawler with the damage, but I'm not sure if that's going through as is or not. Haven't really heard any adjustments to it, hey. Personally, I do a lot of 2 or 3 oracles every game. I very rarely stop at like 1. And I haven't really practiced too many of the non-oracle openings. I've done a little bit of like adept glaives and then going into a quick 3rd base, which used to be very vulnerable because you couldn't really scout after the adept pressure was over. But obviously with sentries spamming hallucinations, it goes quite nicely. herO's going to build that Stargate forward over there. And he is going to chrono 2 adepts across the map, which is a good way to put on pressure. I mean, you gave Rogue such an easy early game. This time, Rogue has to rush Ling speed. And you could even go for a pylon if you want to consider delaying that 3rd hatchery. Drone comes down. He should be sending this drone here. Rogue Rogue, we got to build a third base, bro. He's getting blocked. Fallings should be able to get that down. As long as the drone helps attack. Drone should help attack. You got to help attack it, drone. And, okay, we'll get it down. It's fine. But Ling's trying to fight the Adept. This is very sloppy for Rogue. Rogue, what are we doing, man? This is terrible. Unless you're relying on herO messing up his micro, which I guess if you're distracting him and killing a probe, maybe. But, I mean, herO is pretty good, man. He's a pretty scrappy player. Handing 4 Zergling kills away. Getting the probe's nice. I don't know if it makes up for it, though. I think that's a very good start for herO. I would trade a probe for 4 Zerglings in this early stage because it means your Adepts are going to be more of a problem. He has to build more Zerglings now. So I think he should shade this Adept forward, join them up on the front with the first Oracle, and just basically hang out somewhere over here, shading in constantly. Now, on this map, you're going to notice a lot of these bases, there's nowhere behind the minerals to hide on that side. On this side, you can shade your Adepts behind and move through these gaps. But on these bases, you can't. Like, there's a tiny pocket for a single Adept to hide in there. There's no other real pockets. There's no area behind the mineral line. It really changes up the flow. Oracle takes a bit of damage. Oh, dude, you're not going to go back in there. That's so silly. But wait, Rogue's moving way out of position. He could have gone on that mineral line. Rogue's defense is not solid. He's left that mineral line completely open. This is really sloppy for Rogue right now. He's abandoning that top right mineral line. He finally realizes and sends his queens back. But man, gamble of all gambles, what are we doing? That was so risky. He was getting baited super hard. I make that mistake all the time. I was not expecting it from someone of Rogue's caliber. And you can see the Oracle comes in, ain't going to get much done because the queens are back in position. But you know what? 2 drones, not too bad. Looks like all 3 Adepts went down. 15 Zerglings dying in return. 4 of those early to the Oracle. A few more have gone down now. There are still 3 Adepts out. Looks like a few here at home. And the third base finally starting at 4.5 minutes. So quite a delay on that third. herO and a wide open wall-off. Name a more iconic duo. The Adepts standing in the open incredibly lazily. He should have been in the pocket behind the minerals. Sloppy play there for herO, but you can tell herO and being disorganized and having to take a minute to reset in between all these action-packed moments. That's how herO plays StarCraft. It was his downfall against Clem. Honestly, at the World Championship, herO showed us the best play he's probably ever played in his entire career. And he was going toe-to-toe with Clem for large portions of that series. He ended up losing 4-0. And for those who don't know, it all was because Clem could maintain a pace without any breaks. herO always messed himself up and needed to take a second to reset because he'd constantly F2. His macro would be like a little bit disorganized and sloppy, and Clem just wouldn't need that break because his systems were a little bit more solid. That's my theory. You guys can disagree with me if you want, but love to hear your arguments for it. I really feel like Clem was one of the few players who's just so fast and so mechanically sound that he exposed that weakness of herO. Now, herO's got 4 Oracles, guys, but he let another one get deep in the red, and oh my gosh, he's going to lose 2. He's going to lose 2. herO, what are we doing, mate? And the Adepts aren't in position again! I don't think it's enough Lings, so it's not too bad this time around, but sloppy, man. Adepts should always be wedged into little corners, and Oracles should not be flying over creep like that. It really feels like herO here is playing a scrappy, sloppy, messy game, and he's just finding nothing. The only upside he's got is the lair's really late. So he's delayed the lair of Rogue, but Rogue's got a 10-worker advantage already. I mean, Rogue should absolutely stomp this game from here, right? He should be getting himself a 2-0. Ling's coming in from that side. Maybe not. There is like good gateway count coming up now. What do we got? I don't know. It feels like a pretty big early advantage. These Adepts shouldn't really find much. There's 13 Zerglings on the map that can respond. Still 6 Queens ready. Oracle's going to try to poke in, but they're taking even more damage. I would like to see Rogue put some Overlords back here. He's got no Overlord on the bottom edge, no Overlord below the main, no Overlord behind the main and natural base, and he gets caught by a big stasis trap. Those Queens easily could have moved to respond, but chaos of herO finding openings. And look at that. He's going to try to come in there. Queens are going to shut that down. Oracle takes even more damage yet again. So the Oracles are dead in the water. It's just a 3-base blink setup, 57 workers. Now, Rogue has stopped droning. He's going to make a Baneling nest here. So he's going to play Ravagerling Bane in old school style. Can be effective. Remember that Banelings have been nerfed. Their damage against non-light units has been significantly nerfed multiple times. Baneling speed no longer gives them +5 hit points. And they no longer one-shot workers until you get +3. So you need +3 attack to one-shot probes, which is obviously way later in the game. A nice move with the Stalker Oracle, clearing these Overlords that were giving so much map vision. He's going to start pushing forward, but Rogue's been on nothing but Zergling production for a while. He can get a big surround. This could be massive. Surround the battery. He should be attacking the battery, but he's just going to A-move. I guess without battery overcharge, it's not as big of a worry. Unfortunately for rogue, the Stalker's come back, so he gets a couple probes, but loses quite a few Zerglings. Doesn't get quite as much damage as he would have liked there. The units lost tab is in favor of herO. 61 drones, mass roach on the way, roach speed, +1 melee. 5 more drones being made as well as burrow. What is he using burrow for? That's interesting. Maybe going to set up an ambush. I think Ravagers need to be morphed, as well as a lot more Zerglings need to be made. Rogue cannot afford to drone at all, because this attack's going to be hitting him. It's going to be hitting him soon, and he needs to probably flank this army. Baneling's getting ready for a run by on that third base. Could do really well. It's not walled off, which means the stasis trap should not get activated. Fourth base of Rogue is under trouble right now, or in trouble, I should say. Adept shading past to the natural. Drones are going to fight this, along with Lings and a Queen. Meanwhile, Lings try to surround the Stalkers. The stasis trap saves the day. Banelings roll into the third at the same time. Big boom booms! And that is some juicy hits. 15 probes. A battery goes down as well. But Roach has chased too far. Remember what I said earlier? Rogue, he's been chasing too far. He's been gambling a little bit too much. These drones weren't mining that entire time. Big loss of mining time. Still no Ravagers have been morphed, which I've got to question. I feel like Ravagers would be amazing in this situation, but I guess he doesn't have the gas for it spare right now. Lings and Roaches chasing down. Good fight here for Rogue. Yeah, I think it's really good. If you can get rid of 2 or 3 Roaches for a few Zerglings, that's almost always good, but he's got to watch out for that stasis trap. If he retreats into that, and actually he's chasing way too far right now. I mean, it's good to chase a little bit. Oh, that stasis trap so close to going off, not quite being able to snag those units. Second Evo Chamber and Infestation Pit go down. Rogue is building more drones in the midst of this. He doesn't seem to realize that herO's all in. herO's 3 base 60 probe all in. We don't need drones and second Evo Chambers right now. We don't need Spore Crawlers. Like, you just need to survive as Rogue in this scenario. Fourth base is finally going down. Lings might be better as a counterattack squad. I feel like if he keeps those Lings active, running into the wide open base, running into the third, denying the fourth, that's where he's going to get amazing value and force herO's hand. Because right now, herO's cleared the creep on this side, and he's going to clear your fourth base out. Nice snipe for herO. Gets it. Blinks away. No leaving the hatchery on red hit points this around. herO, such a nuisance to play against, and punishing Rogue for being a bit greedy, but he loses a lot of Stalkers for it, so I don't know, man. Feels like it's not too bad of a trade for Rogue at all, to be fair. Dude, how many Stalkers are going to die? He was really slow on doing his second blink there. It was off cooldown for at least 3 or 4 seconds. And Rogue trying to counterattack, maybe a bit ambitious here. He probably thinks, hey, I'm on 3 base mining, you're getting a 4th up, that's unfair. Maybe doesn't realize just how kind of slow the tech is, but with Storm about to kick in, you got to run. You gotta run. Those storms are gonna ruin your day. Rogue, you gotta get out of here. Those storms are about to kick in. Psy Storm coming in right now. And those storms, I guess there's not enough Roaches left for it really to be that effective, but Rogue kind of playing like he's kind of all in. He's building a drone, a hive, 2 more hatcheries. He's going for Carapace. He wants to go for Massling and Ultras as the follow-up on Hive Tech, but you know those Stalkers ain't gonna let you retreat. Those Roaches and Ravagers are dead in the water, and look at that hunt down for herO. herO makes the game messy, and he thrives in the chaos. It's his specialty. And he does very, very well. I think Rogue should have taken this hatchery earlier instead of the second Evo. And then he could have transferred drones while counterattacking more. And I think herO is always wide open to counterattacks. We already know that, right? And he only had creep cleared on one side. If you force him to push anywhere else where you've got a bit more creep, the lack of the early Robo could have been punished a little more. So I think that was something that was missing. Stasis Trap does trap these Banelings on that right side as well. Now, I think it's still a pretty even game in terms of the fact that the supply is okay, the economy's not too crazy. The problem is what's the Hive Tech transition? Because you got 2 Stargates coming, and you got Immortal Storm getting added, so you've got kind of the supreme standard solid ground army, Immortal Storm, and an air transition with air weapons. Meanwhile, it's just Ravagerling Bane. Hive's only being used for adrenal glands. So with no kind of, I don't know, late game oomph to the army, it seems like Rogue is going to have to make something happen very soon. And that will mean not eating giant storms. With cannons and batteries spread across these bases, High Templar scattered around, herO seems to have a very good defensive setup. He's also up on 77 workers now. So the Banelings are morphing. Could just keep trying to run by there, but with cannons and storms, I think it's an easy defense. A couple of Lings poking their way in. These Banes ain't going to do anything. Doing this in isolation is a really lazy move for Rogue. You really have to distract at this level, otherwise you're just hoping that herO's asleep. If you attacked with the main army on the left at the same time, pull his camera, then click those Banelings in, that's a legitimately good move, but the way Rogue's doing this is a bit lazy. This time he's going to do it a bit better. Yeah, this is what you're meant to do. Pull the attention to the left, and then click in on the right. You can see he's sending those Banelings in on the right side. This is a distraction on the left side. Good micro for herO so far, but if he's not watching and storming, these Banelings could find the boom boom. And, oh, he does pull the probes away, though. Great reaction by herO. And you can see those Banelings no longer one-shotting probe, even with +2 melee. All those probes surviving for the most part. Spire goes down, +3 melee, +2 carapace. So he's going for mass ling upgrades. He's got adrenal glands. No ultra cavern though, which I guess makes sense because immortals are building, but with a low enough immortal count, and the fact that you're doubling down on your upgrades, I really expected to see Ultralist tech here and try to just get maybe some Abducts or Blinding Clouds on the Immortals. For those who don't know, they've actually changed it. It used to be when you Blinding Clouded enemy units, Immortals and Zerglings would kind of derp out. If the enemy was kiting at all, you would land almost no hits unless you had a full surround. There was basically the way Blinding Cloud got implemented was always a mistake with it, where it would reduce the unit's range slop, which is basically a melee unit's ability to finish their attack, even if the opponent pulls backwards. That was getting reduced massively under Blinding Cloud. And people didn't notice because you couldn't really see what was happening under Blinding Cloud, but it's been like that since day one of Blinding Cloud being in StarCraft, and it's just being fixed in this patch. Thanks to Omni Skeptic for pointing that one out. Okay, Rotron Buy doesn't really find the mark. Spire's almost there, but what are we going to do with said Spire? I mean, you need Corruptors to deal with Tempests. No Ultra Tech out. Still very light on Immortals. Only 3 with a 4th one building. herO is famous for overcommitting in late game fights and giving you opportunities to win games you shouldn't have opportunities to win. Right now, Rogue is behind. He's on the back foot. He needs that opportunity. So he's got to be devious, cunning, and patient. He needs to wait and let herO present a mistake. Oh, Ling's going to dive on the High Templar. I don't like this move. Ooh, Rogue's looking a little too desperate. Eats some big storms. Doesn't really get any value. And you can see he's down 5,000 resources and the unit's lost. This is looking like very good patient play for herO. The herO that throws games away for no reason apparently didn't show up today, much to Rogue's upset. Banelings do get on top of those High Templar. Immortals going down. Corruptors coming out. Archon's starting to fall. What a bad fight there for Rogue, dude. Still down 5,000 resources. That was a pretty even trade, but does he have the second layer behind it? Remember, Rogue hasn't really had an income advantage in this game at all. It's going to be really hard. Mama's almost out, guys. It's the new Mama. -400, -400 is back. She does more damage now. She's massively affected by armor, though. Baneling's coming forward, trying to get on the High Templar. Stasis Trap's trying to hold them back. The Archon's cleaned it up. There's still some Storm behind this. A Storm on the Corruptors and the Ravages. The Archon's cleansing. And the Tempest shooting down those retreating Corruptors. fantastic hold for herO there. I like the way he's stepping on the edge of creep, but he's very quick to respect it and pull back. One of his Archons down to 8 out of 10 life. If it lets those shields regen, it will get a lot of value. herO is trying to clear the creep now. He's finally got an Observer on the front lines, slowly clearing up that map vision. Going very deep, though, into enemy territory. A bit of a crazy move. The Archons are good. They ate big Biles, though. Stalkers come forward. Not the unit I was expecting to see this deep in the game. Biling his own Corruptors. Ow! Ow, 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 ow! Rogue with a bit of friendly fire, but Mama comes in and says, "You're in timeout!" Slaps down the bubble, and herO ties up the series 1-1. All right. Rogue there. I thought he had the 2-0, man, but playing against herO, it's never over till it's over. Getting that 4th base snipe was crucial. Adding Storm behind it, and herO just flows out of trouble in this matchup so many times. He's going to go for a classic herO wall here, guys. Gate there, Cybercore there. Leaves the opening on the north side of that pylon, which of course tells us here on Amygdala, he's going to take the 3rd base up there. 4th base, probably on the gold base, because herO can't resist a gold base, even if his life depends on it. And to be fair, I do think Protoss, if they've got a decent position in the mid-game, 4th base is really good, because you go forward, very easy to deny the Zerg's 4th base, whereas Zerg's going to be wanting to attack around the flanks a bit more. In general, it's a very macro-centric map, not one where I would recommend chrono boosting Adepts across the map or anything like that. And generally, I'd say you can get away with not expecting anything too crazy from Rogue, but Rogue has opened 15-15. Didn't want to get his hatchery blocked this time around. Chat says, I hate that he puts the pylon in the wall. It's like everything herO does, a double-edged sword. It allows him to wall off behind it very easily, right? On the other hand, it is a very vulnerable weak spot. I feel like 15-15 openers have become very common in the PTR. Am I wrong? If not, I wonder why. People just like it. So if you're sick of Protoss blocking your base, it can be a nice alternative opening just to get your hatchery down. Against Terran, it's just always good because you get your queens so early, you can skip Zerglings. ZVZ, it's just a different way of opening ZVZ. Not my favorite in the matchup, but if you want to do like a wall-off 2-base kind of Roach-Warren Evo Chamber in the wall build, I think it's very good at that as well. So, you know, it's good for taking a very delayed 3rd in ZVZ. Good for getting a hatchery down before the probe arrives in ZVP, and it's just good and solid in Zerg vs Terran. Thanks for hanging out, Sweet Prince. Should we nerf probes, guys? They're too powerful. Look at this harassment. Yep. 300 IQ for sure. I agree, Twitch chat. Double Queen does start nice and early, and already got only one worker on gas. Interesting. It's not going to be a very quick ling speed. I think if he sees Chrono on the gateway, then he puts 2 more workers on gas. But since it's a big map, I think he figures, hey, minerals are what's going to matter, right? So you can see, yeah, he's just rallying. Only a second one on gas, rallying to the natural. Very economic opening. That makes sense for Amygdala. Stargate's on the way there as well, guys. 15-15 not really connected to PTR changes? I mean, I don't think it should be. I mean, your hatchery is 25 minerals cheaper, your queens are 25 minerals more expensive, so I guess maybe the build is a slightly less efficient, doesn't line up quite as well, especially because a lot of 15-15 builds will open up with a very fast 3rd and 4th queen. So I don't think the 15-15 is any better on this patch. I would argue it's probably a little bit worse. Yeah. It puts the adept in the wall or it gets the hose again? You know hero is not going to put the adept in the wall. You know hero is going to get the hose again. Guys, dude, if Buffalo Bill hosed down hero after every time he left his door wide open, I tell you, man, he'd still not change. He'd still just leave the door wide open every game. All right, second adept shading forwards. First Oracle coming out, pylons on the way. Oh, he gets a creep tumor snipe. Nice move. Link speed's pretty slow, remember? So slowing down things like that, very effective. But I really feel like Rogue left his 3rd base wide open in that last game in a ridiculous manner. Something you learn if you play against hero and max backs enough, guys, is leave your queens in your mineral line. Do not get lured out to chase a single adept or 2 that are running around nearby. It's always a bait. It's always pulling you out of position so the Oracle can dive in. Oracle gets spotted by the creep tumors, moving the queens to respond. Got to be careful. Shade could come in on the natural. As long as, yeah, don't chase too far, Rogue. Put an inject down and hug that mineral line. Oracle's much faster than queens, even on creep. So if you chase the Oracle, it's almost always a trap. And it kind of lures you out of position and you get in trouble. See, the queens come down. Oracle doesn't get anything. Good defense for Rogue so far, guys. I gotta say I'm impressed. Unlike the Void Ray game, building 3 Spore Crawlers this early is actually a good way of playing. Second Oracle's coming in. No damage at all, man. Nothing but a single extractor trick from earlier in this game. Actually, 2 extractor tricks. Evo Chamber for Zerg, so it's going to be probably a fast melee. Potentially Ravagerling Bane again. Meanwhile, Forge Twilight, 3 more gateways. So it's going to be a 4-gate Blink follow-up most likely for Mr. Hero. Oracle goes in. Usually you never dive in Spore range anymore because you see that, 3 shots, your shields are gone. So if you do ever dive in Spore range, it's to kill 1 drone and run away. This is the adjustment Protoss players have made with that modern Spore Crawler damage increase. Melee upgrades on the way, a few more drones, Roach Horn coming in as well. Rogue doesn't have the greatest scouting right now, but he's kind of playing a pretty good middle-of-the-road game, and I feel like his handling of all this early game has been good. 2 queens and a Spore in the main as well. 3 queens ready there. I mean, look at the way Hero's just like trying to wait for him to make a mistake. Rogue's just not making it. He's just not giving him those opportunities. 4th hatchery goes down in the bottom right. Hasn't been spotted yet, which is really good. Man, Hero just driving these guys around constantly. Lair finally starts up at 5.5 minutes. It's a late lair, but Rogue has a very solid economic base. He's building overlords as well, so he was about to get supply blocked, but he instantly has overlords pop out at the perfect time. Very clean macro for Rogue. Hero has just not found anything. He's finally going to go for this hatchery. I don't think he can kill that, can he? Oh my gosh, he's going to, isn't he? He's going to commit. Hero, you mad dog. No, he has to back away. Great save by Rogue, dude. Stalkers. Blinken +1. 4-gate Stalkers are going to come forward. You know he's going to try and snipe that base. Overlord's sitting there. That's a free snipe. You're already at 64 drones. As Rogue, you need to mass army. He's going to go for a Link counterattack, which is a brilliant move. If he can get in before the static's ready, maybe focus the static down, get a probe or 2, keep the Stalkers at home for a little bit longer, that'd be great. Also, this Overlord on the right side, does he see the Stalkers? No, he does not, but the Lings are coming in right now. Only 1 adept. Great warp in to block them, and the probes pull away as well. Beautiful handling. Oracles come back, and those Lings need to run away. Oracle's going to take down a few of these Zerglings as they back out. 4 more Overlords building. Rogue needs a macro hatch and just mass unit production. He's going to build a 5th base instead of a macro hatch. That'll work. Nothing but units, though. He needs to shut this down. He's got double Evo and Infestation Pit. Rogue is worried about the long game. because it's a big macro map. He needs to worry about the short game. He needs to worry about shutting down this blink pressure this time. He didn't pull this Overlord to safety, so that will be a free kill there for herO. And the Oracles and Stalkers are going to come forward and apply the pressure. 13 Roaches, 20 Zerglings should be enough to defend. The problem is if you get locked in a frontal fight against Stalkers, we saw what can happen with the Blink Stalkers against non-Roach Speed Roaches. Roach Speed has just started. This is a lighter pressure this time around for herO. Rogue builds 9 drones in the midst of it. Zero fear, even after what happened in the last game with the 4th base snipe. Mad Dog Rogue. Just zero respect here for this pressure. Link counterattack comes in, kills a few Adepts. Nice plays here. Love to see him click on that shield battery with some of those Zerglings. Stalkers having to blink back on this side. Oracles will return home. Lings, they're like, can you guys please turn on your laser beams? The Oracles don't even bother. Of course the door's wide open, because when has the door ever had a man standing guard duty there? 4th base again. Do not lose that 4th base. Ling Roach coming forward. Hive has started. It's a much better timed Hive this time for Rogue. The question is, what are you doing at Hive Tech? Because a lot of players go Hive, they make Adrenal Glands and nothing else, and I think it's almost worthless, guys. I don't think it's worth going a Hive to get 40% extra attack speed on your Zerglings. Yes, it's a good upgrade. Does it counteract Storm and Archons, though? Definitely not. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, what are we doing at Hive Tech? We're making a Baneling Nest? You need to be making a Hydra Den and going for Lurker Den. If he's not going Lurkers or Spire for Broodlords, I think the Hive has no function, and this is something I've criticized Raynor for a lot for in his EVP, is like going Hive with no reason for the Hive. It's good if you're way ahead, it's fine, but I don't think we're way ahead. We're in a very even match, 77 versus 76 workers, and it feels like herO hasn't reinforced this in forever. He's just bleeding you out with Stalkers, getting good trades. What do we do next? There's High Templar and Immortal, plus 2 upgrades coming in for herO. He's comfortably just progressing in this game. 7 gates, 1 Robo, and he's going to go 2nd Stargate Fleet Beacon for that same air transition, the Tempest transition from last game. Hive finishes. It is going to be Ultra Cavern this time. So it's a shift. He went range rather than Carapace, but he is actually going for that. He definitely should be making Carapace now to beef up those Ultras, and he's going to do it. Okay, I like this play. It's something he missed out on last time. To make this work, Rogue needs to tear down the rocks in the middle as much as possible, and he's already started to do that. So I like this play. The reason why I'm talking about this whole game, guys, from Rogue's point of view, people criticize me this. herO's just doing very standard stuff. He just picked it in with a handful of Stalkers. He's adding Storm. He's adding Immortals. He's going to late game. He's doing the exact same thing as last game. herO is not doing anything special. The pressure is on Rogue, the guy who is committed to a low-tier army that doesn't scale well. Ravager Bane to make a play happen, to find a timing, to find a window. Because if these guys both max out, herO will have a big advantage. Even though his army control is not great in late game, even though he sometimes makes some doo-doos, I mean, what are you going to do with Ling, Bane, Roach, Ravager against a maxed out Storm, Immortal, Tempest carrier army? Nothing. You're going to lose. And that's why Rogue is the one who should be feeling the pressure right now. He's got his first 5 Ultras building and Chitinous plating. When that comes out, he needs to find an opening. He should start tearing these rocks down. Maybe those rocks, though the Stalkers are making it hard to, maybe these rocks up here. He's got to have as many paths through the middle of the map, because the ideal engagement involves you surrounding and flanking the enemy army. Blinding Cloud would be massive. It would really help him out, especially if you can land it on the Immortals and get Lings surrounding the Immortals. Carriers coming out for herO here. Spire does go down. It's going to be an Ultra Corruptor transition. Ultra Corruptor, if it finds a good surrounding engagement, it can crush late game Protoss. If the Protoss sets up perfectly, it should not work. But it's all about Protoss setting up perfectly, right? It's all about Protoss being calm, being patient. 2 things which herO has never shown in his entire life. Patience. herO is not patience. If I had to identify herO's style in a sort of tick, a common behavioral tick, it would be players, those people whose leg is always bouncing up and down, jittering. You know, that is how he plays StarCraft. But this was a fantastic fight back. Storm, stasis traps all over the Lings. He's going to blink away. If he can just bring these Immortals in, the Ultras will not have a way to get through. And that Ultra gets stuck on the stasis trap. That's unfortunate there. Chitinous plating only now finishing after that fight is over. So the first attack for Rogue runs into a layer of stasis traps and storms. As long as he replenishes his High Templar, uses that energy ability on them, herO is in a fantastic position. He's only got 2 High Templar right now, but the first fight's going great. He's up 3,500 resources in the units lost. Rogue is, like I said, on an early game or early late game army comp, and he needs to be counterattacking. He can't be headbutting into this army. He should be attacking up here with 4 Ultras, 40 Zerglings. Attacking in here, he's got to be devious. Transfusers coming down. The Ultras find their way on top. The Immortals are getting surrounded. herO pushing on creep was a big mistake for herO. And that is what Rogue was looking for. He kills most of the Immortals. 2 of them get saved there by the cloaking field, though. Mama comes in and saves her boys at the last second. Sporecrawler moves forward. Overseer's moving forward. Rogue still trying to fight this front on like a mad lad. Mama comes in. Remember, she does almost no damage to Ultras. And Even against the queens and the roaches, she doesn't do that much because she's only got +1 armor's finished with chitinous plating. It's going to be a massive armor reduction. She's going to do half a damage in attack to an Ultralisk. Hitting queens and roaches, she'll do a little bit more because they'll be doing 3 damage per attack, which is, you know, it's not a lot. Second Robo's down, +2 air opens, armor's coming in. Feels to me like hero's just progressing through step to step, and the Ultras haven't found those fights they need. Ultras need to find that efficiency. We're going for Infestors. I mean, Fungal's good. Normally when you play Ultras, you go dual Spellcaster, you'll get 2 to 3 Infestors, 2 to 3 Vipers. You'll look for the Wombo combo, Fungal Blinding Cloud, lock them in place, stop them from having any range, and that's when you can start to do really well. What is this? Rogue! Rogue not watching, bleeding out Infestors, Roaches, and Ravages. The Roach Ravager was meant to be thrown away, but not the Infestors. He doesn't have Neuroparasite. He does have Neuroparasite. He's building 8 Infestors, but it feels like Rogue here is having to go to plan B or plan C. And like I said, hero may not have the most methodical and calm late game in the world, but he's still pretty darn good at it. And if you're just massing Ultras, I mean, he just needs to make a lot of Immortals and he can't really lose. He's only got 4 Immortals against 8 Ultras. A sane Protoss player right now would throw away some Probes or some Stalkers, replace them with more Immortals. It's hero, so in his mind, he's probably just going to make more Carriers because hero's actually crazy like that. But as long as he doesn't let the Ultras kind of surround his Immortals, they'll still do so much damage to clean through those. Okay, so these are those Stalkers we want to throw away. You want to replace that with Immortals. You really don't want to push on creep because if these Ultras flank this army, he can cleanse your ground army so easily. More High Templar warping in. He needs to be using that energy ability to refill these. He's not using it right now, and he's not rebuilding Immortals, despite not being maxed. Hero's absolute disrespect for Immortals breaks my brain. He's also fighting Infestor Queen, and he's building Void Ray. Oh my gosh. Okay, I was about to say, that's the lowest IQ unit choice I've ever seen in a pro StarCraft match. No hate on hero. He realized, he scouted the army, he cancelled it and went Tempest. Tempest can pick away at this from afar. It's a much smarter call. If you play Void Ray into Queen Infestor, guys, it's just like, I think there's Silver League players who could tell you why that's not a good idea. Like, I don't think you need to be a pro gamer to know that's not smart. Normally I'd want to have, so an Immortal is 4 supply, guys, an Ultra is 6 supply. I think you should always have at least 5 or 6 Immortals for 8 Ultras. So if you have 6 Immortals, right, that's 24 supply. 8 Ultras is 48 supply of Ultras versus just 16 supply of Immortals. We've got 1/3 as much supply in the counter unit. That leaves us exposed. We could get fungled, hit by Ultras, neuroparasited. This is a scary moment for hero. Quick recall, good call. Good call. He's going to lose about 6 High Templar just went down there, guys. He's going to have to rebuild those, but it's a combat recall. It's not a defensive recall, it's a combat recall. He recalls to the top left side. He snipes Hatchery in the bottom. He's going to snipe Hatchery in the top, or is he? He's kind of pulling back right now to deal with the Lings and the Banelings coming forward. Rogue right now, his economy is hurting. Those few Zealots going to try to finish that Hatchery off. Tectonic Destabilizers coming in, more Tempest, and he finally builds more Immortals. It's so funny that I was just telling this story before. I think it was in between the games. So if you're watching on YouTube, about how hero played on Alcyon versus Serral at the World Cup, and Serral went mass ultra. He saw it 4 different times, and he just refused to build more Immortals, and he just got absolutely ravaged, attacking on creep with 2 Immortals, one of the silliest decisions he's ever made. He really underestimates Ultralisks, and this is hero's big problem in this matchup, is like the Ultras are not a good long-term unit because of the Immortal being the hard counter. Hero, it's like he forgot that step sometimes, where he's like, oh, they're not a good unit against Protoss. And I'm like, yeah, because of Immortals. But he just forgets to build Immortals and then wonders why he loses to Ultras all the time. I'm like, come on, man. He's got the 6 Immortals now. I think he's in a really good spot. I think hero he's kind of... Oh, Neural. No, he gets cleaned up though. Fungal Microbial Shroud. More Neurals could maybe do this. Infestors coming forward. Fungals all over the Interceptors. But I don't know, man. The Ultras clearing the ground army. But there's no Corruptors in here. It's just Queens and Microbial Shroud. The Fungals have killed a lot of the Interceptors. There's still 31 Interceptors left. 1 Neuroparasite goes down. One of the Carriers does go down. Remember though, if you don't pull your Queens out of range of the Carriers, they end up attacking the Carriers. So the Queen Infestor is not as good against Carriers as it used to be. Rogue finds that out the hard way as they changed that while he was in the military, and I wonder if he actually realized what was happening there. Let me point out in that last fight, as hero does take him down. So notice how hero... Sorry, let's go a bit earlier there. Notice how hero lets his carriers drift forward in the fight. I don't know if this is conscious or not, but this is something you'll see some of like the really cheesy Skytoss guys do all the time very consciously, because They're such experts in using carriers, and if you're playing as Hydras or Queens, like if there's no Corruptors, you actually want your carriers to tank rather than the Interceptors. So notice how he lets his carriers go really far forward, and if you A-move as Rogue, notice you can't individually target Interceptors. You can't click on them, right? So what you can do is you can hold position, and all your Queens back here that are out of range of the carriers will just shoot the Interceptors. But any of the Queens that are close are going to always focus on the carriers over the Interceptors. And what you do here with your micro is, herO, you're meant to grab this front carrier and click it back, and grab a front and move all your carriers forward, and then just keep pulling back the weak ones, and you can tank massive amounts of damage while your interceptor count stays high. Whereas ideally for Rogue, you'd actually be shooting the Interceptors, removing the damage from the board, but there's no way to tell them to target the Interceptors because carriers now have a higher attack priority than Interceptors. Makes it much easier for low and mid-level players especially, but everyone for their Viking or Corruptor armies to just A-move, and they'll automatically fight the carriers instead of the Interceptors now. But it does mean in situations like this with Queens or Hydras that suck at killing carriers, it's a really big problem. You can see some of these Infestors are derping around, the Queens were getting pushed around a little bit. He kills a couple of carriers with his Queens, as you can see, but that's a way lower DPS drop-off rate than if you were actually killing the Interceptors. Because remember, we can't even see the health bars on the Interceptors, but they were getting Fungaled as well. They have 80 total hit points and shields combined. Fungal does 30 damage. So if you hit them with 2 Fungals, you only need a couple of Queen shots to finish them off. With no Queen shots actually landing on those Interceptors, very few of them were actually dying compared to what could have been a much more drastic damage drop-off. Either way, guys, herO played some pretty damn good late game there. Definitely showed a bit of a lack of respect for Ultras. Maybe Rogue could have upped the messy factor by attacking the north with Ultras, doing a few more counterattacks, and then catching herO exposed in the middle. But at the end of the day, Units Lost tab speaks for itself. herO has truly become a very good late game player ever since that preparation for the World Cup, where he said, you know what, I can't keep cheesing. I have to actually be scary in the late game. Takes down Rogue 2-1. GG, well played.